Good morning, Tim.
Morning, Jeff. Thanks for letting me come on a little earlier.
Oh yeah, I understand you've got some stuff going on in the great capital, so that's what's going on there. That's fine. I was just talking with Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty, and he said that he was stopped by your offices and talked with you about some great things regarding the sewer system up in Belfair. Can you add a little bit more to the conversation that you guys had?
Sure. Jeff, we really did have a good meeting. Our local government staff, our attorneys, set up a meeting in Olympia. It was just with Kevin and I, so it wasn't a public meeting. Only one commissioner was there, of course. And we had ecology, and he probably told you, the Department of Commerce and growth management people there, Department of Health as well. So they were high-ranking people, department heads or directors. And really it was enlightening. Some of the things, the rumors that have been circulated that, for example, there's a moratorium on all building in Belfair. No, not true. Not true. A myth that the state is forcing us to build phase 2 of the sewer system. And that was traced back to an old application that the county had submitted in about, I want to say 2005, something like that, 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a projection at that time, given what the growth figures were of how many residents would be added. Well, he said that's not a mandate. That's a facts or just projections that were in an application. So they were very supportive of our effort, the county's effort to extend the system out towards the port of Bremerton and pick up some of the industrial area that they have that needs service. So I thought it was very well done, and hopefully we get the word out that we don't want to. I don't like to see the residents scared. You like it when you live in a house and you're trying your best to keep things together. You don't want rumors circulating that you're going to have to spend $10, $12, $15,000 to decommission your system and hook up to a sewer system that you don't need.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that the conversations are coming up, and Kevin was as well pretty pleased with some of the things that you guys had to talk about, so that's good. The other thing that he was in here talking about, maybe get your comments on this, Mason County currently an annual budget, as you know, for being a county commissioner for so long, but he is proposing perhaps moving to a biennial budget, a 2-year budget, much like the state legislature does. What do you think about that for Mason County?
Well, I listened to Kevin's comments on your program, which were thank you for asking that question, and you guys had a good in-depth conversation about it. So I think it's a good idea, although Kevin said there's not going to be any more money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't budget for double the money just because you're there for you're writing it for 2 years. It's going to take a lot more in-depth work to write a budget. And I think the difficulty is looking at your revenue projections. And I think you had that question for Kevin as well, because, the sheriff's office, I remember 1 month where we had, I think, 3 or 4 murders. Then you might go for 13, 14 months without any major crime like that. But when you have a major crime, you as commissioner cannot control the costs.
Yeah.
I mean, it can go into the millions, and they'll send investigators to Mexico. You just have no clue where it'll end up, and you don't know if they're going to plead guilty or go to trial. So these are factors that you have to set up a reserve account for, and that reserve account might be very, very large if you were budgeting out for 2 years. So it's a good concept, though, and I'm glad they're exploring different ideas, because we need a better plan as we go forward in Mason County. We've got a lot of challenges. We're still less than 1% of the population of the state of Washington. Our budget is 500th of the state of Washington.
Whoa.
You think of the magnitude, but I think it's something worth exploring, and I like the idea that the commissioners are going to a workshop type setting and talking about their problems and issues and looking for solutions as a group.
Moving to the state Senate and the legislature, we've had some votes going through. There was a Senate Bill 5257 that passed unanimously yesterday about vacating prostitution convictions. That vote came up. Also, some first signing by the governor on the oral health care for reservations here in the state. And additionally, you're maybe starting to see that House education budget in the Senate. You guys can start talking about that?
Well, we're just talking internally about it. The House has passed an education plan with no funding. I mean, you can't sell the product without telling people what it costs, and it's just unbelievable that they cannot put a funding source out there. They don't want to vote for the instant tax increases. I mean, they're billions of dollars, but if they're going to put that kind of a proposal out there, and that's the way they want to fund it, well, let's see the votes. I don't think they have the votes for those kinds of taxes.
So are we going to be squaring this up here anytime soon? There's about 8 weeks left in the session, and they fly by, as you know. How are we going to get to a hopeful consensus on this?
Well, our groups have to sit down. I mean, we have to have a delegation of leadership of both the House and the Senate that sits down and says, we are going to get this thing done this year. And my fear is that the Democrats don't want to see that this year. You know, there is a very big election coming up in the 45th district. That's the Redmond area, where Andy Hill, a tremendous guy, our budget Ways and Means chairman in the Senate, died. He passed away from cancer, and that is a seat that the Democrats think they can win. And I'm afraid that they're just going to sit down and wait and hope to win that seat and take control of the Senate, and then move these big tax bills through. So politics enters into all this, as you know.
Wait a second. Hold on 1 second. So are you saying that the Democrats may hold on this through the election? When is this election? November?
Yes.
So the session may not end until then?
I think it will end. I think the session will end, and it may end in one special session, or it may end on time. But it might not end with a resolution of this McCleary decision, and I think that would be a terrible travesty not to finish this. We've got the coalition majority that I belong to has come up with I think a very good plan that has some reforms for education. It has changes in the levy rates, but Mason County does very well under this plan. The rural areas do very well. Some of the urban areas may have to pay a little bit more, but they have more value in their property. So with the commercial property in Seattle and Tacoma, it's a gold mine. So I'm just worried that it's a very complex bill, and I'm just worried that it would get kicked down the road again and not solved this year when we have an opportunity. And Jeff, we're going to have about $2.3 billion more to spend in this next biennium, this next 2-year period. We do have some money to spend, and we can spend it on education, put that as our number one priority, and actually spend the money on education and get there. But can you imagine if the county had that kind of an increase? I mean, this is like a 7 and 8% increase in revenue.
Yeah, that's a good chunk.
If the county had that kind of increase, they would be doing a lot better, doing some other things like looking at a new jail or looking at some infrastructure projects that they can't do right now.
Is there any conversations or ideas of what would happen if the legislature doesn't pass this Supreme Court? You got to get this done this session. What was going to happen? These $100,000 a day fines, basically from one hand giving it to the other. That doesn't make any sense. Do you know what the penalties are going to be?
Well, the Supreme Court, it's a very political group in the Supreme Court. They I believe are advocating for an income tax for the state of Washington. So they may say that the legislature cannot adjourn. They would mandate that they continue and actually fine legislators. They can increase the fines for the state, but I think they could take action against individuals.
Wow. Okay.
Now that would be unprecedented. I don't know if it is, but they are the court. They are the Supreme Court, and you just can't appeal that decision anywhere, really, from our state perspective. We can't go to the U.S. Supreme Court and discuss this. We're going to have to listen to the court's mandate, and that's why I think we need to get it done this year. And when the House of Representatives passes a plan with no funding, that's not a plan. It's incomplete. You get a big grade of incomplete. And so we have a plan. It's funded. It's, I think, accountable. It gets some reforms, as I said. Let's go down and everybody get in the room, the big leadership, and talk about this thing and bring it up for a vote. And that's the only way you can see how it's going to fly, is bring things up for a vote and see where people stand. And they can talk and talk, but unless they get out on the floor and take a vote, people see it's recorded how they vote, and we won't make progress, in my opinion.
State Senator Tim Sheldon, I know you got to get to a meeting here in a little bit, but thanks for checking in early, and good talking with you as always. We'll talk again next week about how things have been going.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great one.
See you later.
It's 7:52 at I-5.